Welcome to Prototype Thinking in Action. This is the podcast where we talk to founders, dive into one big challenge that they are facing, and help them solve it by using the prototype thinking method. Let's get started.
I'm Jay, and I'll be leading your user test today. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and do this with us.
Talk to Mina, and her ideas are very exciting. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about it. Yeah.
So what is your role?
I lead the buyer experience team, and my responsibilities include working with customers, understanding what are the customer challenges, and based on that, working with our teams to figure out what is it that we can do to improve the buyer experience.
Can I ask how many people are in your team under you?
7?
And do you have sub-managers under you?
No, not managers.
Cool. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some very, very ugly mock-ups that we made. So this is stuff that Mina tossed together in a few hours, and a million changes will be made to them in the future. They're really just kind of there to get the idea across. And we would love to set you up in a simulation. So imagine that you are you on your team and that your executive has said that we're starting to roll out this program called Rhenari across the organization, and you have a one-pager and your own dashboard for it. It's purely optional for you. It's there for you if you want it. You don't have to use it if it doesn't feel right for your team. It's just something that your entire larger org is adopting and is available. So you have some extra time to check it out. Would you ever check it out?
Yeah, in most cases, especially if the organization is using it.
So when might you be checking it out?
So usually I'll get an email, I'll click on it, and right after I get the email, I'll do it most of the time. Sometimes I'll save the email and collect things I might do on a Friday.
Okay, so let's say that it comes to you in an email on a weekday afternoon, like around right now, in fact, it comes to you this Friday afternoon. And the email, has described that the organization is rolling out this burnout management platform. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to screen share a couple Canva decks. And I would love for you to just talk out loud as though this were real. So I'd love to ask you to use first person and present tense, like I'm looking at this, I'm clicking on this. We're really kind of looking for you to do what you would truly do. If you truly look at it and scroll through, tell me that. If you would click on something, let me know. And if you are glancing over it and you're done and you're going to go back to Slack and finish the rest of your work, that's totally fine. You don't have to engage in it, and just let me know that that's what you're doing too. So let's say that a bunch of other managers have been talking about it, and this rollout is as a result of a bunch of people talking about how it's really helped their team sustainably manage their energy and get projects done on time.
So I can't read anything that's in the Slack. I mean, it's just too small for me. So your team shows burnout before performance dips. Rhenari detects mental fatigue up to 3 weeks earlier than other methods. But that's not all. Once detected, our AI delivers just-in-time coaching via Slack. We don't just fix burnout, we prevent it and the millions in loss that go with it. So is there a call to action over here on this page? I don't see a call to action.
It's a 2-pager.
Okay.
If you want, we can take you straight to the dashboard too, whatever you prefer it to be.
So usually if I'm reading this, I want to look at the tool. I would like to actually see the tool, like how it does, what is it doing.
Okay, here's the tool.
Not risk moderate. That's not very clear to me what that means, in the sense that I understand the word, but it's not very clear to me, like if it is it a scale or what does that mean? Okay, so the workload is heavy, which will cause strain if prolonged. I think having some kind of like information button on it that helps get more information on what that moderate risk trades for will be useful. 7 suggestions, employees at high risk. Okay, this makes sense. So I would click on the suggestions right away, the first thing.
All right, here we go.
So it does not show me the names of people who are at risk.
Can't show names. So the data that's on the manager dashboard has to be aggregated for privacy.
Okay. I mean, as a manager, if I find out that I have people at risk, I'd love to see what direct intervention I can do to help them. So this feels a little like I have some information, but I can't do anything about it. Could you scroll back again to the top? I wanted to see, okay, the 3 suggestions, deadlines at risk. I would again open that.
Pause. Mina, why don't you give us a quick verbal suggestion that might come with the deadlines?
So a suggestion that might come with the deadlines would be project-based. It would be to extend the deadline or something like that. Hold off before implementing a new deadline or cut back specific meetings around it.
Okay. Yeah, so seeing the suggestions is actually what is actionable. So that I would click on getting the suggestions right away. And do the suggestions show the names of the projects?
The suggestions would show the names of the projects or specific tasks that are at risk, and it would pull it directly from your product management tool or your project management tool.
Because that is actionable then, right? Like as a manager, that is something I can look at and I can do. You said it's more than just identifying the projects. You're also suggesting strategies to mitigate that. Can I look at the graph? I mean, the graph is interesting. It's showing that in Q2 we had heavier workload, but people are more happy. So it's the type of projects in Q3 that is making people unhappy, actually.
If that was your takeaway from that graph, would you leave the tool to figure out like what other things were going on there, or would you want this tool to tell you what other things were going on? Like, would you chat with your Rhenari bot about what was going on here to get more insights?
Yeah, I would. So I'd like to find out what's going on. So if there is a chatbot that can answer that, that would be great. Yes.
Okay, here's a chatbot for you. So Mina's going to be the chatbot. So let's say that you clicked on a chatbot. You can ask it whatever you want. What do you
Why
type?
is satisfaction going down in Q3 even though the workload is reducing?
The chatbot says that it was heavy administrative tasks and less creative tasks.
Interesting. Okay. That is useful to know. Then I would
Pause.
recommend.
You said that's interesting to know. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So what I was interested in knowing is what kind of tasks are driving satisfaction. So if there's a pattern that I see where certain types of tasks are making people less satisfied, like administrative or non-creative ones, then I would look into automating that.
That is fascinating. Let me know where you want to go.
Let's see what's below that graph. So the key stressors, the other three charts are pretty self-explanatory. I don't have any follow-up questions on that. That's just data for me to action on. But the key stressors is the most important thing. So meeting fatigue is clear, project clarity is clear, prolonged stress is clear. Unplugging, I would like to know more about.
Feel free to ask the chatbot anything you want.
What are the examples of unplugging that have been shared?
2 of your high burnout risk employees are sending emails at times that don't fit healthy work habits, which suggests that they are stressed out about getting the project done on time, which means they're not unplugging, which means they're not recuperating. And that's why they're at high risk.
They're working outside of office hours. So
Another-
does Rhenari give me recommendations of the most high impact actions I could take as a manager?
It can tell you about what kinds of interventions it is using. The dashboard is only one part. The other thing that's automated through this tool is the coaching. So a lot of the things that you're not seeing, like who has the problem, how do I help them through the problem, Rhenari is already taking care of that and delivering it through Slack.
I think what I would want to immediately look at is what do I do? How do I solve this? And if Rhenari is intervening already, I'd like to see what Rhenari is doing. From the dashboard, I didn't see that. That didn't come out. So maybe that is a call to action I would have liked to see sooner.
Here we go. Here's the Rhenari intervention page.
Okay, let's look at the interactions, costs recovered. I am curious about what are the interventions and what are the types of interactions Rhenari is doing.
So let's say that you go to an education section that is vaguely like this.
So Rhenari is basically prompting somebody based on the actions that they are doing at that particular time, and that's coming through Slack.
I have one question. You mentioned that you have a lot of that information already. Where are you getting it right now? What is the timeline for getting that information?
I would say three things happen in our rhythm of business that capture this at different points. It's not as well collected as you have here. So I have one-on-ones with my team. I'm talking to them, most of them weekly, some of them bi-weekly, but I'm talking to them on a regular basis. I hear from other people about somebody on the team that's not delivering. I'll hear from their peers, somebody not responding to the email. So it's usually like, a sign that something's amiss, right? So usually know that if who's happy or who's not happy on the team. Secondly, projects at risk. We have weekly project reviews. So projects at risk show up pretty quickly on that. Somebody saying that this project is trending red because there is more work than we can get done. We'll find that out pretty early. And the third thing is like we have quarterly employee surveys that we send out. And a lot of those, like the burnouts and leadership, satisfaction, those are, questions that are part of that.
Can I jump in and ask you? So let's say that all of this was real, implemented, hooked up, successfully integrated, and also like had a good design. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is horrible, 10 is mind blowing, and 5 is normal, how valuable would this be to you?
Early intervention is very valuable. I would say 7 or 8 out of 10.
And if I were to ask you to rate on the same scale, 1 is horrible, 10 is mind blowing, 5 is normal, what your current experience was with managing employee burnout currently, how would you rate it?
Right now, our burnout rate is significant. It's very high. It's higher than it's ever been because we are back in office 5 days, 5 or 6 at best. And then I think it would go 1 or 2 notches up with a tool like Rhenari.
What would make it a 9 or 10 for you?
If it actually solves the problem, right? This is a real problem, and they used to care more about work-life balance. They talk about it, but I don't see a lot
Yeah.
of that, to be honest. It's a very go kind of culture. So I think it's also going to be a factor of the organization itself that drives a lot of the stress too. Maybe something that is a tool that you can build for senior management to figure out how to change their thinking around work-life balance.
So that was interesting. So much to talk about, but let's start with what did we learn? What did we observe and learn?
Still hearing echoes of the mental separation between burnout and performance. And I'm hearing that even though in early interviews and market opportunity interviews, the slack time between surveys, the projects at risk through project managers were all things that were universal frustrations. But it sounded today is really kind of, I already have that information. Where can I be proactive? And I wrote it down somewhere. Just being able to see problems and identify who has problems is so far out to people that they don't seem to be making the mental jump to, hey, this is what happened, but I already took care of it.
Yeah, I feel like he halfway got it. He
Mhm.
was engaged by it, but he didn't fully understand how it works and why it works. I think to me that's an interesting redesign point, is how do we communicate to people how it all happens on the back end and what's going on the back end.
And so I wrote on here, is it too complex?
No, we just got to communicate better. There'll be a way to teach it. He was genuinely pretty engaged. Like, he's a very intellectual, nerdy guy.
Right?
So he's somebody who, when he's engaged, he doesn't have effusive social energy the way you see with the majority of the users. He gets more focused mental energy. So he's more engaged in his moments of silence. His voice takes on this slightly fatter, more precise tone, and he gets more accurate at wording, and he actually reads the charts and reaches conclusions about the charts. And it's when he has this focused curiosity that is his magic moment. It's interesting because if you did normal tonal stuff with him, he barely differentiated. But the way that he intellectually engaged was really differentiated. He liked the chatbot. He did understand what it was for.
What else did we learn? I think we identified this before, trying to figure out how to make that mental connection between performance and brain power.
Day in the life. The one valuable thing he picked was early intervention. So he understands the value of early intervention, but somehow he doesn't propagate how that changes life. So I want day in the life with Rhenari and without Rhenari at the employee level and at the manager level. I think I need a visualization of why needing a 45 minutes to recover from a Slack interruption, like case A and case B, and how that changes. So that's day in the life, like a visualization of why that completely changes how your brain works. We learned that explaining things to people is still hard, but they really know the problem.
Know the problem, are engaged in the problem, clearly is a problem.
I want to bring us back to this. Several weeks ago, this was the staircase that you filled out for enterprise. And I think we've learned some things about where we are on this staircase.
Yes.
For example, what type of organization is actually much trickier for us than we think it is. I'm going to turn this yellow unless you want to turn it red.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because we would have thought any large tech company, but he's saying I would be an adopter, but my company is not the target user because the culture doesn't have enough room for it.
I don't think any large tech company. I think any tech company from 2,000 to 5,000 employees.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe let's turn this red because we have hypotheses, but
Okay.
there's a lot more profiling here, right? The other like giant bright red thing is this one. Are we likely to get the integrations we need? We originally made that yellow, but that is like the biggest limitation.
Yeah. I think I had it yellow at first because I had talked to other people who did software companies, but they did it back in the .com boom, and security has just gotten different.
And what budget it is tricky. We're actually a lot more confident about the metrics.
I think so too.
I think we can turn metrics green.
Okay, I'm with you there. Which organizational units is it primarily for? Yeah, we're saying product and engineering.
Here we go. I skipped the feasibility sanity check. Where are we at? Is it legally possible? It is
totally-
still, right? It is. It's legally possible. It's just culturally, legally tricky. It's certainly technically possible, but the data integrations are a little bit trickier. So I'll just turn that yellow. So these are the tricky ones. What organizational unit is it primarily for? We feel pretty good about that still, right? We're really good on roles. I'm not sure we know who the champion is anymore, to be honest, because it has to do with organizational adoption politics now.
God, it is. It has gotten political, hasn't it?
It is super political, actually. And relatedly, then we're not sure what we can accomplish because of the integration issues.
I wonder, honestly, if our champions are actually outside the organization. Are our champions the consultants that orgs are hiring to solve their revenue gushing problems?
So,
Makes
my
it-
response to that is actually this is our bright red zone, and we should ignore this.
Okay.
Like, we have some hypotheses in reds and greens here, but like, given what's going on here, what I would suggest we do next is go deep on this huge cluster of questions we have here. So, I would suggest your next user test be with IT and information security. Because I think what's most likely to happen is that we're going to discover that we can get maybe like 20% of the integrations that we want. And then we'll have to figure out what's the best outcome we can deliver with the integrations we have. But I also have this wild hypothesis that because this problem is so pervasive, what if IT becomes our champion adopter? Maybe what we want isn't a problem champion. Maybe what we want is an integrations champion.
Thank you for listening to Product Thinking in Action. Please don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join our email list and follow us for exclusive access to tools, case studies, and live workshops. All links can be found in the description below. See you next time.